Whether or not they're functioning well, they just add more. They tell you how much water can be in your toilet. They tell you what kind of shower heads. They tell you what kind of light bulbs you can have, what kind of cars you can drive. It doesn't stop. Now, to make matters worse, we now have armed a lot of these federal agencies. A lot of the bureaucrats are armed. You say, well, the FBI being armed, I can understand that, or the Department of Defense being armed, but the Department of Agriculture has armed SWAT teams. And you say, well, why would the Department of Agriculture need an armed SWAT team? There's some real criminals out there we've got to go after. SWAT team just swooped in the other day, 2 weeks ago, right outside of Los Angeles, and they shut down the awful crime that was happening at an organic food store of selling milk directly from the cow. Department of Agriculture, SWAT team, swoops in and does that. You say, well, we need some of these groups. You know, we need the EPA to keep the air clean. Well, maybe we do need some rules, the water, the air. But you know what? It's gone overboard. Robbie Wrigley is a woman who owns some land. Her dad owns like 20 acres, and they were developing it for housing down in Pascagoula, Mississippi. She got 8 to 10 years in jail for being a polluter. What was she polluting with? She was putting dirt on land. They were filling in low areas of the land. And they said, well, how did it get to be a wetlands? The closest stream was 2.5 miles away. They define wetlands. Basically, you've got to fight them. Once they define it, you've got to try to fight the federal government. They define wetlands as, well, birds, migratory fowl, may be on a wetland in another state, fly into your state and nest on some low land, on low parts of your land, therefore you've got a wetland. They call it the migratory bird rule. That finally got stuck down in court, so now I have a new rule. You've heard about, they define things as having to have navigable water. In the old days, we thought that had to be a boat or something had to go down the stream. Now a pond on yours that, you know, not a pond, a low area in your land that collects water when it rains is navigable stream, because they say there's something called the migratory molecule rule, which means that if a molecule of water could somehow get from your land to someone else's land, or vice versa, we can regulate it as wetland. We've gone kind of crazy. So Robbie Wrigley's like 40 years old, has a 3-year-old daughter. She's never been in any trouble. She's like a Girl Scout leader. They put her in jail for 8 to 10 years for moving dirt on her own land. John Potskies, Morrisville, Pennsylvania. He lived across the street from an illegal dump. It had 7,000 tires on it, old rusted body parts of cars on it. He bought it, and to improve it, he cleaned up the 7,000 tires, some of which were blocking the stream. Because the stream was blocked, occasionally he flooded his property, so they said he had a wetlands. Now that he's removed